people might be listening going like, why does it really matter for me to be thinking about these gifts or spending time diving into what my gifts are? And it is because it will be a gift to you and it will be a gift to others. The more you identify these, hone them, spend time on them, prioritize them, you never know where that's going to lead.
Welcome to The Way of the Muse, a podcast for women who want to create richness in every area of their lives, from business and career to lifestyle, relationships, family, purpose, and fulfillment. I'm Gigi Sage.
And I'm McKenna Sage. We're a mother-daughter coaching team, and combined, we've spent over 4 decades helping people create their best and most fully expressed lives. If you're ready to step into your bigger dreams with ease, fun, and flow, you're in the right place. Let's get into the episode.
Hello, and welcome back.
Hello, everyone. We're here in San Diego. So beautiful. The temperatures are amazing.
Gigi's visiting along with the whole family, basically. Just a couple people not here, but it's been a really fun family vacation week. Really, really enjoying it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Gigi, tell us a little bit about what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, so this episode is going to be a little bit more about open dialogue on a topic we've been discussing recently, which is this idea that your greatest gifts often seem like no big deal to you.
Absolutely. Yeah, we see this with people a lot. They think, well, I don't know what my gifts are, or they point to things that maybe, they say, well, that's not a big deal when we point out what their gifts are when we're doing the coaching with them. And sometimes we need that outside perspective to go, oh, wait, this is actually something special. This is actually something unique. How do you see that, Gigi, when you're working with people? Like,
it's the funniest thing you can think of, like an example of if somebody just organized an amazing party and, everybody felt really welcome. And, you work with them the next day and they say, I'm still really trying to figure out what I'm really good at. And then you go, I just had this experience of being at your party and it was exceptional and it was so unique and it was so, I felt so comfortable and everybody really connected. And I think that's one of your gifts is this organizing and really creating the space for people to, connect deeply. And people will just have this aha, like they'll say, everyone does that. And you're like, I can't do that. Right. So we reject that what we do and what is easy for us often, that it's something that anybody can do.
Yeah. And so often people come to us, they're trying to find out what their gifts are or what is it, what is it they want to do? What's next? And a lot of times knowing what those unique gifts are is a really key piece of the puzzle. It's a piece that helps you see, oh, if I have these different unique gifts, then how do I want to kind of put those together to design a life or sometimes to design a career that I really, really love, that fits for me.
Right, right.
Yeah. And so we want to share some stories and examples today. And of course, we'll share through our own stories as we usually do. And at this point, just to say, we have a lot of awareness, Gigi and I both, around some of our gifts, but that wasn't always the case. It took time for us to see what these were. And so we want you to be able to reflect as you're listening on, do any of our gifts resonate with you? You might be like, oh, that might be one of mine. Or, it might spark something for you. And then we'll share, how you can start to think about this for yourself as well. So let's start, Gigi, with a couple of yours. What would you say are some of your natural gifts or the gifts you've developed?
Yeah, I think one of mine is taking risk / kind of courage to take risk, So I think I've had that feedback from people many times in my life. For example, I just moved to Houston and I've been looking for a while to see maybe it would be Nashville or Houston. And then I finally just decided and I get up and I go. And I've had a couple of people say to me, like, how do you do that? Also, when I moved to Amsterdam, right? And I I said I really would love to live there after my kids were grown. And I decided to do it, got support from a Dutch friend who found me a place, and I upped and moved there. So I have this ability just to go for something when I see that I want it.
Yeah. I so admire that about you, because it's, as we've talked about before, not something that comes very naturally to me. And it is something I've developed as more of a skill. And I think that's an important distinction, is there are things that are natural gifts, which of course we can continue to develop. And then there are skills, which we can also develop, but they may not be your more natural way. And for you, I think taking risks is something that's always kind of come naturally. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. Since I was young. Mm-hmm.
Can you think of it like an example from when you were young? What kinds of things what did you do that was like, oh, you might not have thought of it as a gift at the time, but you now look back and you go, oh, that's an early sign that I had this gift of taking risks.
I would just do things. I didn't question myself, and with my friends and everything, I would be the one that always kind of had the ideas to go this place or do this thing, go to these concerts. And I mean, there was my friends that maybe they were more hesitant, and I always just saw a way to do things and just went after it and did it.
Yeah. And you can see that so much in our lives and the lifestyle we've lived that we've talked about in other episodes too, of just traveling the world and doing these different things. And you just went for it.
You just went for it. Yeah. I just thought if I want to do that, there's got to be a way to do it. So why not?
So some of you may resonate and relate to that. And some of you may be like, that is definitely not
Crazy.
My natural gift. But I might like to develop a little bit more of that. Mm-hmm. What's another one for you, Gigi?
Seeing into people. So I have this gift, and that's, again, always been there. Of course, it was really developed out of the work I do, but I think the ability to have this gift early on is what brought me to my work, because I was so curious about people. And it's really seeing into people and who they really are. And, I developed the gift of really also seeing what's stopping them and, who they would be when they step out and they really, really step into who they truly are. And that's been such an amazing gift to hone and to work with, because, that's been my business in my life, and I do it everywhere, and I love it. It's where I walk in anywhere, and I naturally just can have a very short conversation with somebody, and I can see this. It's amazing.
Yeah, it often happens with grocery store clerks, or waiters, or just anyone, anyone we meet along the way. And it's another example of one that I've really developed as a skill. You've really taught me and trained me on this, and I think I have some natural ability with it as well.
Absolutely. Yeah,
but much, I think you've been honing it over a lot longer than I am. So I have. So maybe we both have it as a gift, this one, but yours has been definitely honed to a different degree. And it's a great one to have as a coach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What about you? What are some of yours?
Well, we were talking about this a little bit before we recorded, and you had mentioned self-expression, which I definitely think I would say is very much a gift. And at first I was like, well, I don't know if I was always that way, because it was definitely a big part of my life where I wasn't super self-expressed. But you reminded me that when I was a little girl, you always tell me when I was 2 years old, I said all I wanted for Christmas was all the makeup in the world. And I used to walk around the house in your red high heels and red lipstick. I insisted on putting on myself. So there was this thing in me from a really young age of like clothing, and I loved being on camera. So the modeling piece that I love now, that I think was really natural and inherent for me. And I didn't think of myself that way for a very long time, because we all go through kind of the forgetting process that we've talked about in some of the other episodes. We often go away from our natural selves. And so I became very serious and a lot less self-expressed, let's put it that way. But as I've gotten older and the more I've gone into personal growth and just, healing and becoming more aligned with my authentic self. And you've supported me so much in that. This has really reemerged to where it's like, oh, I love all this stuff. It's so fun for me. And self-expression takes a lot of different forms, but it can be the modeling and the clothing. And now I'm playing more with hair and makeup. And I'm not someone that, is naturally really good at those things, but I feel like it's becoming more and more fun and more natural. And it's so funny to have people coming to me for these things now, being like, oh, can you help me go through my closet? Or can you, support me with this thing? Just friends of mine. And I'm like, wow, I never thought I would be that person, but I love doing it because it's one of my highest values is helping people feel self-expressed.
Yeah, it's a great one. Really, really nice. And it's been wonderful to watch you grow into that and really, open up your creativity around it, because I think it's really tapped into the creative part of yourself, which you thought you didn't even have, right? 4 years ago or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah. And a lot of this came too through like so many things through watching you, watching you with your clothing and self-expression over the years and how you would bring modeling into the workshops and self-expression. Really, I was raised with a lot of self-expression, which is just such a gift. So, but it really, I think, is something also for my soul that is a piece of what I came here to do. So, yeah. And that's so much of the time is our gifts, I think, are somehow connected to, they're like the expression of our soul in some way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's another one of yours?
Oh, well, we've talked a lot about, I'm a very systematic thinker, and I think systems, structures, and it's just not even just in business or something like that. I really can look at people's, kind of like you talk about seeing into people. That's a different skill, but really I can look at someone's life or business and see the systems that they need to be effective. Or it's almost, I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like when people talk, a map gets developed in my brain or a puzzle, and I see all the different pieces, and then I can go, okay, here's what's working, here's what's not working, here's where we need to adjust this or that. It's like a puzzle to me, and it's just a different way when I'm talking to people and people go, oh my gosh, these things that felt so complicated suddenly feel really simple. And that's how it is for me. It's like, oh, not for myself, of course, but when I'm working with other people, there's this systematic way that I see that really supports people. And then I can take that also to the level of systems in terms of organizing, their business or their life, or seeing again where that maybe the areas that need more support and what are systems that can support them there. Yeah. What do you see with that one? Because it's hard to sometimes describe, I think, your own gifts.
Well, I think it's everything you said, being able to really look into someone, and when they're talking and they're speaking, I think you've developed this in our work, and to see where things are out and where if they'd make these little tweaks, and organize this piece and focus more on this piece, that everything would fall into place. And I see that often with you when you coach people, is you really start to eliminate the unproductive things that they're doing and focus them in the direction of where they're going to be the most effective, and also where they really want to go, right? So there's also, they tap more into their aliveness, and they kind of start to organize their life in such a way to where, and the systems in their business to where they're focusing on the right things. I think that's a lot of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Their career or their business. It's often like, what is your next step? And people get overwhelmed and they get confused by that. But when we sort of lay it all out, to me, it's like very clear. And to them, it becomes very clear by talking to me. Oh, wait, this is the priority, or this is the next step. And it's not actually as overwhelming as I thought. And I really, again, you have a very systematic way in your work with people too, I would say, Gigi. And for you, it's often around these pieces, but I think also around relationships or around the people side of things, wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really see what people should do, how they are connecting with each other and what they could do to eliminate conflict and create more harmony, And same thing like you. I see it like this almost, what's that show about the chess, the lady? What was that show?
I love
Queen's
that
Gambit.
show
Yeah.
on
You know
the
how
Queen's Gambit.
you know how when they show like her seeing the chess pieces,
Yeah.
I often feel like that's the way I see when I see people's lives. Yeah.
That's a cool way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have to agree in a different way than you, I think, or in a different area of people's lives. But it is like the kind of the map of the chessboard, like she has in her brain, and she's doing all the different pieces. It's a really cool way of thinking about it. I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think another one for you, Gigi, is around beauty. This is one that not beauty like, we were talking about before with makeup and all that, but more so making your environment beautiful. This is something I really want to learn more from you. Can you talk a little bit about that one?
Yeah, it's one of those things. So how when we go anywhere, we go into a restaurant or we go anywhere, and I start redesigning somebody's
This is Gigi's
home.
favorite thing to do. I think we have to break this down for people so they can understand this unique quirk of Gigi Sage.
It's the only way I can start using my brain. I can go in somebody's home, and if there's some things that just don't feel like they flow, I immediately start thinking, how could you arrange this to where there'd be more flow, there'd be more ease? And I do this all the time. And then I'm always thinking, on Pinterest, they send me all these homes and all these beautiful spaces because I'm always thinking about how to make spaces like that. And so, it's like a great pastime. It's almost like a hobby or something.
She does it literally in her own environment, but she does it in her brain, in restaurants, in other people's homes. And it's something about what I think is unique about it, though. It's not just design or something like that. I don't think it's design necessarily, although there's a component of that, but it's really like you're saying, the way that energy flows through the space. And so you have this unique way of making some environment like not just beautiful, but that you feel really good when you're in that environment. I don't know how to describe that.
Yeah, no, it's true. I feel, like the invisible energy of it. Some people, I'm not a feng shui consultant or something, but I feel the way energy flows and also the comfort level. For me, comfort is huge in an environment. Absolutely huge. I think it's first priority.
Yeah. And you've used this over the years in your own home and everything in our homes, but also in workshops, right? And retreats is creating, and you've taught me a lot of this, but I have to say, this is one of the harder ones for me. It does not come naturally. I'm like order, I'm like, okay.
Right.
Did the things match? Are they next to each other in a straight line? If so, then that's good, right? And you're like, no, there's this flow.
You can put an angle to that. And, you come in my place and there's color everywhere to an extreme. I mean, some people are like, oh my gosh, it's too much, right? But for me, I see it as, creating an environment of where you open up, you relax, creativity, there's a feeling, I can create environments so people walk in, they don't know it, but there's this feeling that they get of like harmony and relaxation and clarity. That's the result that happens in the environment. And it's almost like this beautiful, I see it as when I really create a space and I've got it all set up. It's this almost like it has sparkles on it, right? And you walk in and it just feels like it sparkles and it flows and there's this peaceful feeling about it.
I can definitely attest to the feeling, like the peaceful feeling of just like an exhale.
Yeah.
And the thing I think is cool about some of these examples we're giving is they're not necessarily what most people would probably think of when they go, what are my gifts, right? They would go, oh, well, they might go as far as to say, oh, I'm organized or I'm creative or something like that. But we're really giving you examples here to have you go a level deeper and go, like what are the qualities? What are the feelings? What are some characteristics? And they might be applied in all different parts of your life, or you might have forgotten that you had this gift when you were younger, or this natural way with something that you never really cultivated very much and you want to go back to. So it's to start to spark for you some ideas of what might this be for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like we
Yeah.
talked about, I shared early, when we first started, is just, it's hard for us often to see our gifts. It's just so difficult because we do these things and we think they're just not special. But for others, they're amazed at how we can do it. So that's, the other thing to pay attention to is, where do people really share with you and say, wow, this was incredible that you did this, or I love it when you do this, or this makes me feel so special, or we're in a place right now, an environment at home, and same thing. Definitely, they have a certain knack where the place is comfortable, it's beautiful, it has this feeling of being kind of beachy, and it's really set up to work. It functions really, really well, And so again, that's a special gift or quality that either the woman or the man, I don't know who has that here, but I think it might be the woman, has that. And so it creates a special kind of environment.
Yeah. And if you're having a hard time, coming up with these on your own, another thing that can be really helpful is to do like quizzes or assessments that help give you a jumping off point, right? So we've talked before about the World Changer quiz, which is our free quiz. And I do think that is one that if you haven't taken it yet, you should definitely go check it out. It's worldchangerquiz.com. And that will tell you what we call your number one talent. And it will also tell you your success motivator. And in the talents, Gigi is a visionary. And if you look at a lot of her gifts, touch on this visionary quality, wouldn't you say, Gigi?
Yeah. I think it's being able to see ahead, see the bigger picture of people, see the vision of a space, so it's absolutely visionary. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then mine is a connector. And one of the gifts too that comes up again and again for me is around communication. That, this comes up in our quiz. It has also come up in the Strengths Finder, which is another great quiz that's out there that you can take. And communication is always my number one strength. And again, even though many of my other strengths over the years have kind of gone up or down in the whatever you call it, the order of things. But communication, again and again, it says, is my number one strength. And that could be spoken communication, written communication, and really speaking in such a way, or writing or communicating in such a way that lets people feel and sense something, or feel and sense themselves in it in some way. And so that you can really see when I took the World Changer quiz, I was like, oh, this makes so much sense that this is a part of my gift. And then how I could the quiz really helped me see, when Gigi first taught me that framework, how I could really utilize that in business and career, and also in my life more. So definitely, if you want to go to worldchangerquiz.com, take that. We've heard from a lot of people who've taken that quiz that it's helped give them just, again, an outside perspective, a jumping off point where they go, oh, okay, like I can see that in myself, and it might spark some more ideas for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And your communication one, you've been able to develop that as well into, even doing the meditations. You have a lot of times when you do those in the workshops, or you've created these meditations, and women will come back to you and tell you that they really had a pivotal moment of seeing something that was something that they then, went out and did or added to their life or their business. So, like you said, your ability with the spoken word, I think, and written word also sparks something in people. I think it's a catalyst for the spark in people.
And I think that is maybe the key distinction here that we're making between a gift and something that is just a skill, because we talk about this in our certification program, Aliveness Mastery, which is where we certify coaches or certify people in a coaching methodology that Gigi's developed over the last 38 years. And we talk about this distinction of a skill versus a gift. And a gift is really that it's something that is probably there's a natural inherent quality to it, but also it brings you alive in some way, I would say, right? A gift, if it's truly a gift, then there's some kind of energy or vitality or it conducts in some way. Whereas you could learn skills, all of you who are listening right now could think back about, through maybe your education or different times in your life where you've learned skills, but they don't light you up at all. You really don't think it's a natural gift of yours at all. And it doesn't conduct energy in the same way where maybe it touches something in other people and sparks something for them. And so what you're speaking to there, Gigi, is that all of these things we've been talking about for us and whatever our listeners are identifying for them, they're gifts because, if you think about just the word gift, it is a gift to you and a gift to others in some way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I love
There we go. I'm using words right there. I'm like, let's think about the words and the power of the words. But truly, it is, think about, and that's a good reason people might be listening going like, why does it really matter for me to be thinking about these gifts or spending time diving into what my gifts are? And it is because it will be a gift to you and it will be a gift to others. The more you identify these, hone them, spend time on them, prioritize them, you never know where that's going to lead. So we have many other gifts that we'd love to share with you all, and we will continue sharing through this podcast. But Gigi, thank you for just paving the way with this. I think something I'm recognizing in recording this episode is that so many of the gifts in me, many of them, of course, were natural to me, but a lot of them have been inspired by you. And so thank you for sharing them with me and with so many other people and being a part of this episode today.
Oh, but thank you so much. Yeah. And, just to go back and I think one more time, share to really get out there and observe what do people compliment you on or tell you you're really great at, and start to pay attention to that. Really when people say you're amazing at this, don't say, oh, anybody could do that. Say, that might be part of my gift there, and start tracking and writing those things down and taking credit for those and really looking how to hone them and use them in your life and business.
That's a really great point, is just not to downplay them. I think that's something we're speaking to today, is like we make them not a big deal, but they are a big deal. Absolutely. Yeah. So take that in when people compliment you. You could even create a little note in your phone or something like that where you make note of those things when people share or they acknowledge something in you or they compliment you. Write it down on a My Gifts note, or when you take the World Changer quiz, you take different assessments, start to find those little bits and pieces. And those are, like we've talked about before, paint strokes on the masterpiece of your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, McKenna. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. See you next time. Bye-bye. If you enjoyed this episode and you're curious about diving deeper, you will love The Collective, our monthly membership program. Think of this as the group of girlfriends you always wish you had, plus the coaching and support to step into the woman you're meant to be and the life and success you've been dreaming of. It includes powerful courses, live connection and coaching calls, and a community of like-minded women around the world, plus lots of other incredible bonuses. Every 8 to 10 weeks, we begin a new season focused on a topic like self-love, stepping into your bigger purpose, breaking through fear and self-doubt, or growing your success with more ease and flow. You can join the monthly membership for just $197 or sign up for the year and get an all-access course pass and enjoy huge savings on your annual membership. Learn more at wayofthemuse.com/collective.
That's our episode for today, but let's not make it the end of our love story. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and think of some women in your life you'd love to share it with. And if you want to learn more about our events and programs, visit wayofthemuse.com. See you next time.